stand and say the pledge?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nancy, we do roll call, please.
Allen.
Here.
Valley.
Here.
Bivens.
Here.
Book. Considine.
Present.
Hudson.
Present.
Humphrey. Kitson.
Present.
Copine.
Here.
McLean. Minimi. Naylor.
Present.
Nicholson.
Yes.
Norberg.
Here.
Sheline.
Here.
Shippert.
Present.
Scrogstad.
Here.
White.
Yes, here.
Williams.
Yes.
Wilson.
Here.
Zeman.
Here.
Olson.
Present. Thank you. Under announcements, we're going to have a moment of silence for the board members Doug Farster and Bill Palin and a former board member, Don Trent. Let's take a moment and reflect. Thank you. We'll move on. We'll go to a quarter employee spotlight recognition. We got a Lisa Gates nomination and John Simonton is going to be presenting.
Come on in, I know you're nervous. Good evening, everyone. Lisa Gates has been with the LEC or the Sheriff's Office for how long now? Year and a half she's been cleaning for. She's part of our custodial staff. Lisa's been doing an outstanding job, and actually this award was initiated by our secretaries who have been seeing Lisa do an outstanding job at our office, as has everyone else that works there. She goes above and beyond. If she's asked to do something just a little bit different, she does it with a smile on her face, and then she comes back and asks us, is there anything more I can do for you? She doesn't only clean the LEC, she goes to lots, she goes to the 911 center, and then also helps out at the new courthouse and the old courthouse when they need it. I really appreciate Lisa's enthusiasm. She blends well with the employees there. We're quite a crew, so that takes a while to do. But we really appreciate her being on board and grateful that she's there with us. And she's our choice for the Employee Spotlight Award this quarter. So Lisa, congratulations.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll go to Bob Thompson. He's on Zoom for Nikki Massini nomination. Go ahead, Bob. I think you're muted, Bob. You know sign language?
That was uno momento. So thank you. Everybody can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, well, I want to thank the county board, first of all, and Wendy for creating this employee spotlight. I think it's terrific. When I first got wind of it, it was easy to nominate Nikki tonight. And I want to also congratulate Lisa. Her and her team at the new courts building are phenomenal. They just do a great job. So congratulations, Lisa. That's great. Sheriff Simonton, that's a good nomination that you picked out there. I'm really proud of her and all the work she does. So I won't read to you what I already wrote. It's in your board packet, but there's no question that when you want an employee spotlight, you want to know how the stakeholders from within our county government and from outside of our county government are benefiting. And we made it pretty clear in that nomination for Nikki Massini that she's just one of a kind. And we're really grateful to have her. I'm down here in training right now for specialty courts, and judges are talking about her, prosecutors are talking about her, and just everything that she does to make our team work. You know, we may have opposite sides of the aisle, but we all work together and we make things happen. And Nikki's a huge part of that, from the clientele to the lawyers that she works with across the hall, to the clerks, probation, and the judges. So congratulations to Nikki. You deserve this. And I'm so grateful that the county board thought to recognize her in this regard.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. We'll move on to C. Please mute or turn off your cell phones. Go to 5, approval of board minutes. If there are no changes or corrections, the minutes from September 22nd, 2022 regular county board meeting will stand as presented. Is there any objections or corrections? If none, they will stand. We'll move now to number 6, resolution. We have 2 Joseph Meyer tack auctions. Is there a motion to approve the 2 Joseph Meyer resolutions on the agenda? Nancy, we get first, and Mr. Nicholson seconds it. Any discussion? If none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Kitson,
Yes.
Copine,
Yes.
Naylor,
Yes.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Norberg,
Yes.
Sheline,
Yes.
Shippert,
Yes.
Scrogstad,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Zeman,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Valley,
Yes.
Bivens,
Yes.
Considine,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. We'll go to 7, zoning and planning. Included in the packet is a monthly report from zoning and the minutes from October 3rd, 2022 Planning Commission meeting in your packet. We'll go to petitions going to Zoning Board of Appeals. We have petition 22-P-1602. Is there a motion? This is up in the Rochelle area. Is there a motion to send petition 22-P-1602, Lee County zoning map amendments, to the Zoning Board of Appeals? Mr. Nicholson moves. Do I have a second? Mr. Kitson seconds it. Any discussion? Any discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Petitions going to the Planning Commission are none. Petitions coming from the Zoning Board of Appeals of none. Now we go to E, letter E. Petitions coming from the Planning Commission. Petition 22-P-68, text amendment ordinance. Is there a motion to hold over petition 22-P-68, text amendment ordinance regulating the wind energy systems until the November County Board meeting? Mr. Bally, Mr. Bally, do I have a second? Nancy seconds it. Any discussion? This is the work that the committee did with Mr. Norberg. This is what they come up with, this in the solar. Any discussion? Any questions? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Do the same with petition 22-P-69. Is there a motion to hold over petition 22-P-69, the text amendment ordinance regulating solar energy systems until the November County Board meeting? Mr. Kitson moves. Do I have a second? Mr. Copine seconds it. Any discussion? Same thing that come out of committee. I think they worked on this for a year or so. Any discussion, comments? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Administrator monthly update and board member comments. We'll start with Wendy and then we'll ask the board members.
Good evening, everyone. I only have one thing that's not on the agenda, and that's just a quick announcement. This building over the last summer had received a HVAC upgrade, part of the ARPA dollars that we expended. It included a control system, and that system qualified for Commonwealth Edison rebates. So we received a check recently in the amount of $9,414 as a rebate back. Big shout out to our contractor, Hartwig, specifically Justin that works for Hartwig, because the amount of information that's required to qualify for this was quite a bit, and he supplied that information, so we were eligible for that rebate. So just wanted to make that announcement.
Thank you. Now we got board member comments. Any board member at this time like to make a comment? Nobody wants to make a comment? We'll go down to public comments. Items on the agenda. I've got 2. Start out with Samuel Croxon. Would you like to come forward and the podium and
Sorry, this is my first time in here.
that's right.
My friend was losing his building. He recently passed, and I was looking into buying his building. So I went downstairs, second floor, and I bought the pamphlet, and I found a better building. So July 28th, I turned in a check, and a week later, I got the letter. I won the auction. And that's why I'm here today, because somebody has seen me at the property, cleaning, cutting the grass, planting seeds, removing trees, and I don't think it's fair to take this purchase away from me, just because from what I've heard, they don't want some gypsy moving into their territory where it's been silenced for 8 years because the building's been emptied out. My check was cashed. You've had my money since July 29th. And all I want is the property and I need the deed. That's what I was waiting on. And I want the right to fix the property up so I can make it a better place.
And this is property in Lee Center you're talking about?
Yes,
You got the address so you could tell the board?
1136 Inlet Road, Lee Center. And I have the parcel number. Parcel number is 11-16-06-329-007. And my friends are telling me like I need to make the contract better. I'm like, there is no contract. You just play the game. So I got the contract and I showed him to my lawyer. He's like, he doesn't like the way it's worded. And it's all up to you guys if you're going to take my dream away, this big, beautiful building. So I was waiting for the 90 days because the letter says approximately 90 days, you'll receive a deed. So I'm here to see what I can do to to push the sale.
All right. Thank you. Yep, is that all you got? I want to make sure you're heard, so go ahead.
Yeah, the first day I went there, I was out of town when we received the letter. The first day I went there, somebody called the police on me. Said I was dumping tires. There's one tire in sight. Police came out. They said, you've always been a hard worker. Congratulations. They even wanted to peek inside of the Lee Center building. They left. Everything was fine. Then 7 weeks later, I come on a Wednesday. I'm trying to help the guys in the street. They got stuck in a ditch. I'm playing with my tractor. I walk around. I look up and there's half a dozen police, half a dozen inspectors, at least two fire department inside telling me I got no right to be there. Get all my stuff off the property, disappear. Your check didn't clear. Just straight line to my face. And I work most weekends. And it's slowed down now, but then I was working Friday through Monday. I come home. So on a Tuesday, one of the neighbors were watching me. That's why I opened the door, and 15 minutes later, there's a dozen officials inside the building kicking me out. Then they marked the building unfit for human habitat. I already had comment out there. They told me what to do, and I was in the process of getting ready for the upgrades. I already bought the electrical boxes that they said needed to be upgraded with the certificates stamped on the boxes. I had all that. And what else is bad about the building? There's no running water? Well, as soon as the boxes are in, and ComEd turns the power on, there'll be running water. Besides that, there's a couple broken windows. I need time. I don't want to just start dumping money into the building until I get the deed, and that's what I was waiting for. But I was cutting the grass, transplanting trees, planting seeds, tearing the overgrowth off the building. So I just want my right to possess the building, get my deed, make it a better place. So like I said, this is my first time here. If you need me to step up and talk some more, just let me know.
All right, thank you. We'll go next to, I got Chris Tennyson. I think he's got somebody he wants to introduce to the board.
I just wanted to introduce everyone to our newest employee. This is Oz, our new therapy dog at our alternative school, and he was at the Whiteside County Board meeting this week, so I didn't want that word to get over here and say, hey, come on, Chris, why wasn't he over here? We picked him up in Kansas last week. It was a 2-year wait. We put in for him 2 years ago, and Angie, our alternative school counselor, and I had to go down for a week and train with them for a week. It was pretty intensive. Erie School District also had been waiting for 2 years and was there with me and got 2 dogs for their school district. So he's a 17-month-old English black lab. And he spent 3 days at our school so far, and it has been absolutely amazing. It's the best investment our school's ever made on something that I think is really going to help the students and be great for our school and just do wonderful things. He's just, in 3 days, I can't believe the turnaround we've had with our students that, you know, and all of our students are either there because they've been expelled for discipline issues or been through multiple traumas at an early age and have severe stress and anxiety. And he's been just working the school every day and being there for the students, and the staff has really enjoyed having him there too. So can't be thankful enough for him. I think Wendy wants to talk to you later about his contract. See what he can do. And everywhere I've been taking him, I'm just thankful he's not running for regional superintendent of schools against me, because I know he'd kick my butt, because everyone loves him everywhere. But just wanted to bring him and meet everyone, let you know that Oz will be with all the students, many of which are from Lee County at our school every day, and he's been awesome. So any questions about Oz?
So just out of curiosity, Chris, how do you incorporate him as far as?
So there's 2 things. He's with Angie in her office because her and I are the trained handlers right now. We're getting some other staff comfortable to the point. He knows over 50 commands. He's 17 months old and he knows over 50 commands. I've never seen anything like it, especially with the young lab. Now, if I took his vest off right now, see his vest, he knows he's working. If I took his vest off right now, you'd see a 17-month-old lab puppy and he'd be wanting to play a little bit and have some fun. But he mainly is with Angie when she's in counseling sessions, which has been a huge help with students that come into our office to talk to her. And then we have 7 full classrooms right now over at our school in Rock Falls. So at least once a day, he goes to all the classrooms for at least 15 minutes. We shut the door and take him off the lead, and he's free to walk around and see the students, and they hang out and pet. Today he was down in gym class playing soccer with some of the students. So those 2 capacities. And, you know, his parents have come in too to visit, and it just couldn't wait to meet him and pet him. So it's just been a whole, you know, the overall atmosphere of the school. It's just in 3 days, I've never seen anything like it. And I've been, you know, working with that school for the last 5 years. So it's been incredible. It's a worthwhile investment, very much so.
When he is in the classroom, then he's still wearing the vest and he knows he's a working dog?
He does not take that vest off except for at our house. If he's out in public, then he's got the vest on. When we get home with him, then it's 45 minutes of fetch, and he wants to play and wrestle a little bit, and we try and get him tired out at night. But yeah, whenever he's in public, he wears his vest. That's part of the training, and he knows he's working right now.
Okay.
Yep. Well, thank you. I just wanted you to see him and let you know he's going to be over our school every day.
Thank you, Chris. We'll move on to 10, University of Illinois Extension, Carla Belzer.
That's a really tough act to follow. Good evening, everyone. Carla Belzer. It's been a little while since I've been up to address the county board, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing at Extension and tell you about some changes that we've had locally. First off, I'll start off and say many of you probably know and remember Janice McCoy. She was our long-term county director. Back in March of 2021, Janice was asked to serve as an interim regional director for the University of Illinois Extension, essentially in charge of a third of the state and extension operations in the third of the state, at which time I then stepped up to be our interim county director. Fast forward to late this summer, Janice was permanently placed in that position. So she's responsible for about 39 counties in our state and all the extension operations that occur in those counties. And then just last week, I was offered and I accepted the position as the permanent county director for Unit 4, Caroline Whiteside County. So we are thrilled to have Janice at kind of the next level of leadership in extension, mostly because she's homegrown. She still lives in Dixon. She knows our communities very well, and we know that she's going to advocate for us very well on the more regional and statewide level for extension. I also wanted to introduce Katie McBride. Katie is our newly hired, well, the summer, extension program coordinator for 4-H in Lee County. Katie comes to us with a great wealth of experience in outdoor natural programming. So she has some really great ideas for doing some great programs with Extension 4-H moving forward. I was also thrilled to hear that you don't have paper copies anymore because I sent you a lot of stuff. So I just want to talk briefly about some of the things that I shared in your packet. So we have our annual report, which was actually for calendar year 2021 in your packet. I would encourage you to take a look at that, highlight some of the great things that we've done, not only in Lee County, but I will say one of my favorite impact stories, I think, in the time that I've been with Extension, we have a story in that report about a young man from Lee County who is a 4-H'er. And a few years ago, he just got a whim and decided he was going to be interested in goats. And he started learning about goats, and he talked his parents into getting him some goats. And long story short, this young man is now an entrepreneur. He actually has his own business where he makes goat soap and uses the milk byproduct to sell his soap and other byproduct from the goat in the local community. So I really think that's important to demonstrate the power of 4-H. We really are growing and raising tomorrow's leaders of our community, our tomorrow's business people in our community. So we have a lot of really powerful things going on in that program. I also just wanted to highlight overall extension in general in Lee County in the past year. Really excited to report we had over 421 programs in the county in the last year. That is tremendous coming out of the pandemic. We did go to some virtual programs there for a while, but I think it's safe to say we are full force back into in-person programming. When we did the numbers, we served about 10,000 county residents in the last year. I'd always like to highlight 4-H. That always seems to be a leading program here in Lee County. And when we run the numbers on that, we have several different ways that we operate 4-H in the county. We do a lot of programming with the school. In fact, we had partnered with the Center for Change last year and did some programming with their wonderful students. But in Lee County, approximately 42% of Lee County youth are touched by 4-H. That is a really impressive number. That's mostly through our one-time workshops, our school programs that we do. That does not include our regular 4-H'ers who come regularly to our community clubs, who show at the fair and participate in 4-H in that way. Of those youth that do our traditional 4-H programming, that's about 23% of the county youth. Those are the highest percentages in our 3-county unit. So very proud of our community, our youth involvement. Some of the things that the youth were up to this year, they had a Kids in K-9 dog training program out at Granny Rose. Wonderful, wonderful partner for us at Extension. You may or may not be aware, but we have held the state 4-H dog show out at Granny Rose the last several years. That brings people in from all over the state, brings tourist dollars into our community for that weekend. It was the last weekend in August, was the state 4-H show, dog show. We also have our Junior Gardener program, which has also kind of transformed into an ongoing program, cooking program for youth to learn how to cook the produce that's grown in the garden. There is an impact report in your packet on our gardens at Junior Gardeners and our Teen Turf partnership. We've had lots of workshops. We are in the schools with our Health Jan programming at Dixon schools. All the 5th graders in the school get some Health Jan programming every year. We do embryology programming in the schools in the spring. So a lot of our younger classrooms get to raise chickens and learn about that life cycle. We have the Lee County Ag Day. We have a 4-H camp, a horse workshop, rabbit workshop. That's just our youth programs. Our Master Gardeners are very active, doing lots of programmings in our local nursing homes. We have partnerships with the homeless shelter, where we go in and do different programs related to horticulture and growing your own produce, which was a huge boost during the pandemic, and we're trying to keep that work going. So in your packet, I also just included a few flyers of some upcoming programs that we have coming up if you're interested in participating or learning more, or if you know someone. We have the Kids in the Kitchen program that's ongoing right now. And then later this month, we will be having our Fall Fest, which is open to the public. We have seen an increase in enrollment in 4-H this past year, which is, again, tremendous, coming back from the pandemic. So we're really hoping to get more families and youth involved in the program because, as I said, we're growing tomorrow's leaders. So other than that, just a few other little staffing updates. We are also currently hiring an additional youth development educator for the unit. So we're trying on a new model for our units. We do have one currently. We'll be adding another position who will solely focus on youth programs with the schools. We've had a tremendous opportunity to do more programs with the schools, and it's frankly just too much work for one person. So we will be adding that person soon. And then as I am stepping up, I formally, the past 8 years, I've been a family life educator with the unit, doing brain health programming, quality of life programming across the lifespan. We will be hiring to fill my vacant position as well. So that's a little update about what Extension has been up to. You will be seeing more of me at least once a quarter. I'm gonna come and let you know what we're doing, and I'll give you a bunch of handouts. And I told Wendy I was really worried because a lot of them were in color, and I'm like, if they have to print, I don't want you being upset with me. So glad that you have them on your tablets. And we just encourage you, come out and visit us. I'd be happy to make connections with any of you if you have ideas for programs or issues that Extension could potentially address in our community. We'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Yes, Mr. Nicholson.
Yeah. Carl, I really want to compliment you on all the programs you've initiated over the last year. Congratulations on the new position and all.
Thank you.
And I want to give you a shout out. I don't want her head to explode, but Katie McBride was employed by the Franklin Creek Preservation Area Committee for 2 years, Katie? 2.5 years. She was a coordinator for the mill and the state natural area and did an outstanding job. We were sorry to see her leave, and I'm really glad to see her back in the area and doing what she's doing, because she'll do a great job for you.
Yes, I will completely agree. Katie actually joined us the beginning of July, and if you follow our calendar, our 4-H show is at the end of July. So you had 2 weeks notice to run a giant 4-H show, and she did it flawlessly. So we really believe in hiring great people who are going to make the maximum impact in our community, and we believe we've done so.
You have a very good one right there.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions for me? Wonderful. Well, thank you again. Please don't be a stranger. Reach out if we can, partner or help with any issues that are going on in the county. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
We're going to skip out.
We're going to move down to Blackhawk Hills Annual Report. Andy Shaw.
Good evening. I'm Andy Shaw, GIS and Enterprise Zone Specialist with Blackhawk Hills Regional Council. I've been on their staff since late 2013. And as you know, since 2017, Blackhawk Hills has contracted with Lee County and the parties with the Lee Ogle Enterprise Zone to provide administrative services there as well. And so that was when I adopted the Enterprise Zone portion of the title. Blackhawk Hills BHRC is your regional planning organization. We serve Lee and Ogle, Whiteside, Carroll, Joe Davis, and Stevenson counties. We serve them, among other things, with roundtables for officials and staff, including county board chairs and county administrators, mayors, zoning staff, and GIS staff, as well as a SEDS committee that serves economic developers and those type of folks, and not to mention the council itself. Note on the council, you'll see that listed as board of directors. We will unfortunately have a new vacancy with Mr. Nicholson not running for election. He has served Lee County in that role for several years. So we'll hope to see somebody new replace him there. We already had an opening for a Lee County representative that represents the Soil and Water Conservation District. So we'd be thinking about who those folks might be. In some cases, the SWCD representatives aren't necessarily someone that's closely tied to that organization. They might be a different member of the community, but they end up being appointed in by that board as a way onto the Blackhawk Hills Council. So we will have 2 vacancies from Lee County in a short time from now. We do a lot of things, but a key thing Blackhawk Hills does through our planning staff is assist with funding opportunities, especially with United States EDA and USDA programs. We operate with a key US EDA grant that is matched by county government, along with other project-based funding that comes from time to time. We recently got short-term recovery funding through recent acts of Congress that was able to get us new planning talent. We hired 2 new planners, one more on the municipal and government side, and one on more of natural resources and trails and conservation oriented. Those were set to be for about 2 years, and we had funding for 2 planners for 2 years. Both of those stayed about a year with us. Unfortunately, they both moved on to other jobs, but we were able to replace one of them with an additional planner that has worked out well since January, and hope to keep her around much longer. And she has moved the area from outside the area and is joining here. So I think, and hopefully that will work out well. And we have found more projects to fund her work to keep her going. That work has helped us support ARPA and CARES Act needs. It has helped to fund and match workforce housing studies in Lee and Ogle counties. And we're also in the middle of doing those in Stevenson and Joe Davis County as well. Those are being wrapped up right now. As mentioned on the resource side, greenways and trails plans were done in several of our counties. Walkability studies were done. You'll see on the cover of the front page of the report there, folks from Mount Morris that were working on that with our planner. We have assisted claims for the ARPA funds from local government. A lot of your smaller units of government were kind of thrown off. They didn't know what to do with some of that funding. You might have felt that even at your level, but imagine some of these really small units of government, and they're just like, well, what do we do with it? And so our planners were able to assist some of those questions. We have recently done hazard mitigation planning in Stevenson County. Through myself, we helped the Small Business Navigator Program for the state of Illinois Back to Business, where we made outreach to local businesses in all of the counties to assist them through applying for those funds that are available for their impacted businesses. We've encouraged throughout our region the adoption of CPACE programs, and glad to say that Lee County does have a CPACE program in place, and we do expect those to bear fruit with some good projects that will help our businesses that use that funding. And we have, just one last thing, assisted over 50 entities, libraries and other smaller groups with indoor air assessments, where they would bring in a carbon dioxide tank, and they would measure the air exchange in a building to assess the air quality. It's kind of a proxy for all the things that we've been worried about the last couple of years. If you measure the change in that, you can kind of see how well your building might be health and safety wise if the air is fresh and clean. So with that, I'll just say, encourage your communities, your constituencies to get in touch with our planners and our executive director, Dan Payette, to get ideas, get your projects moving, and at many times also funded. Funding is available in a lot of cases. A lot of times it's to match it, so it's not free money necessarily, but there are a lot of opportunities. So bring those ideas to our planning staff, and they can help. Thank you for your time.
Any questions for Andy? Comments? Thanks, Andy. We'll move to committee reports, and we'll start out with administrative services. Mr. Norberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Minutes are in the packet. The one thing I'd like to point out that Ms. Bowman did turn in her resignation from the GIS coordinator. She left for some personal reasons, wanted to be remote, so on. She did work with Jennifer on potentially working on a contract basis till we get an additional person hired. So we're working through some of that. Sammy, if anybody has met Sammy, he is incredibly intelligent, highly qualified, and is going to, in the interim, take over as the GIS coordinator. I believe he has a master's degree in GIS and had spent several years abroad working in GIS. So tons of energy, but that's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Norberg? Thanks, Chris. We'll go to Black Hawk Hills Regional Council, Mr. Nicholson.
Well, Mr. Shaw gave main thing, yearly report. We had our meeting on September the 26th after our last board meeting. Got an update from the president, the office manager, Mr. Payette, Mr. Shaw, Abigail Abakabir, who is the new regional planner. Some basic discussion was on the state line solar installation on the rooftop of the school over in Rock Falls. Excuse me, PV system over in Rock Falls. And that was pretty much it, other than discussion on the map amendments over in south of Rochelle.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Mr. Nicholson? Thanks, John. We'll go to claims. Ms. Shippard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Claims Committee is moving along very positively. We've had anywhere from 40 to 60 claims per meeting. I think it's slowing down a little bit. There's been a lot of highway claims because of construction, but it's working very smoothly.
Any questions for Marilyn? Thank you, Marilyn. Executive Committee, the minutes are in your packet. Any questions, comments? If none, we'll keep going to Finance. Mr. Sheeline.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finance Committee met last Thursday. The items, major items that came out of Finance Committee is coming in resolutions down the line. And one thing just to note is as we wrap up this fiscal year, county's financial position is strong. Revenues continue to come in higher than anticipated. So all positive things as we come into some uncertain times. And I'll comment more about the budget, as we move down the agenda.
Sure. Any questions for Mr. Sheeline? Thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
We'll go to Health Department. Ms. White.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I please stand?
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, we did not have a meeting this month, so there's no minutes. But a quick update is our CDC Public Health Associate began last week, and she is paid by the CDC, so you don't have to worry about that. She will be with us for 2 years. This is a really highly competitive program, so it's really good to have her in our county. Our flu clinics are going really well. We offer 3 at the health department and several throughout the county. We've been doing COVID bivalent booster shots. I'm sure you've all heard them through your physicians and PCPs. We've submitted our iPlan community health assessments plan, so please be on the lookout for that iPlan. We are beginning to work with Ogle County Health Department, on the social determinants of health planning for our grant, which is really important as it relates to the iPlan as well. Let's see. We will be presenting sponsor with KSB to bring Karen Young. It's a young psychologist and author of books for children and parents on anxiety to Dixon next fall, which is a part of the iPlan for mental health awareness, which is very good for our community. She's from Australia, but she will doing a US tour next year. Let's see. The monkeypox virus numbers are decreasing in the US, and that is great thanks to national and local recognition. And we have been receiving updates from the IDPH on current Ebola outbreak that has been in Uganda. So all travelers from Uganda to the United States are being funneled through 5 airports. O'Hare is 1, just as an FYI. So like I said, we didn't have a meeting this last month. We're every other month. Our next meeting will be November 16th at the Lee County Health Department at 6:30. Any questions?
Questions or comments for Katie?
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. We'll go to 911 Board. Mr. Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In addition, which has already been provided by Director Dallas, highlights was that the 911 fee diversion has not occurred. The NG 911 migration preparation continues, and the migration date will most likely be moved to the first quarter of 2023. Mike McBride, ETSB IT technician, will be presented with the 911 IT Technician of the Year Award at the annual State of Illinois 911 Conference to be held in Springfield next week. Next ETSB scheduled meeting will be Thursday, October 27th at 5:30 p.m. at the Lee County 911 Center. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Mr. Hudson? Thanks, Keen. Go to Properties, Planning, and Zoning. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Few things, everything's in the onboard. A few things we've been working on the properties. The boiler project is supposed to be done tomorrow over in the new courts building. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be the first part of the following week. The generator project and the IT backup generation for this building was completed last week, 10 days ago, somewhere in there. We're going to be putting out for bid the second boiler project for the new courts building, hopefully by the end of November. And also just wanted to point out that the chairman's conference room is near completion. The countertop's going tomorrow. Just wanted to thank Greg and his staff, Dick and Ryan and Chris, for doing a great job. Those guys did the flooring in there and the painting and all the walls. So we're trying to get the maintenance department to do a little bit more physical work, and they enjoy it. So, and they've done a really good job. But other than that, I don't have anything.
Any questions for Mr. Wilson? Please, he's right. Everybody take a look at the conference room before you leave. It looks great. They've done a wonderful job. Thank you. Thanks, Tom. We'll go to Public Safety, Health, and Judicial. Mr. Copine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public Safety met October 12th here in this room. Previous meeting minutes were approved without modification. There were no public attendees here for comments. We then went into department reports by the department heads. And I guess one thing that sticks out that I would like to comment on is the testing of the voting situation that's available on our iPads. It works out quite well at this point. Excuse me. Wendy, Becky, and whoever else worked on it did a good job and continue to do that as they continue to fine tune it. We had nothing under executive session and the meeting adjourned at 10:03 a.m. That's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Cobain? I do. Wendy, when will we go live with the voting system, or are we still working out some bugs?
We are working out some bugs. Ideally, I was hoping for December 1. However, after December 1, we'll have some new board members, so it might take a little more training. So maybe January.
All right. Thank
But
you.
we are going to keep testing it through the committee process and just keep working out those bugs. So.
Sure. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We'll go to Transportation Solid Waste, Mr. Considine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Transportation and Solid Waste Committee met on October 11th on Tuesday. The minutes are incorrect, so we just need to change that. It was due to the holiday on Monday. We actually met on Tuesday this year. We discussed the highway fund balances and projects that were going on throughout the county. Everything seems to be on track and moving right along. There's a few projects left, and Dave doesn't anticipate any issues with them closing up or getting started before the end of the year. We also did discuss in the minutes that you can see the Lowell Park speed limit and doing a study again there. I believe that's necessary. We as a board voted to lower that against the recommendation of the speed study the first time. And I think we got it wrong. We need to review that. And then if that speed study comes back at a higher speed, then we should raise that speed limit to the appropriate speed. Whenever we go outside of the standards, we have no standard. We have no way to any recourse. So I think that the speed study will come back that it needs to be, the speed needs to be raised. The only reason I mention that now is the board could change next month and there could be a lot of different people here. So I wanted you guys to hear it, firsthand for whoever was left. Like, you won't hear many people say they got something wrong, but when we lowered that speed, we went against what the county engineer's recommendation was, and we went against the speed study. So if that comes back at a higher speed, I would encourage the board members that are here to consider that and consider the impact that it's having on the county and Ogle County, because Ogle County didn't lower their speed, so their speed's higher, and that Lowell Park Road has a lot of traffic on it. So we discussed that at length. We'll wait to see what comes back up and go from there. The next meeting's November 14th at the Highway Department in Amboy on Monday at 8 a.m. If anybody wants to come down there, we'd be happy to have you. If there's any questions, I entertain them.
Questions or comments for Casey?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Casey. Tri-County Opportunities Council, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tri-County Opportunity Council met September the 27th at 6 o'clock, and we had partially hybrid and Zoom. And I also, in my minutes, I have a list of whoever is the chairman in the next board. We have a list of the categories for public officials. And they got all the committees that they can choose to be on. They can be on 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. So that's on your list, so whoever's get that there, you can review that and see what committee that you would like to serve on. And it's been a great, I've been with them for 18 to 20 years, and I really enjoyed being on there with them. It's a good committee. They got a good leader. So that's basically end of my resume.
Any questions for Mr. Williams? Thank you, Marvin.
You're welcome.
We'll go to tourism. Mr. Palin's not here. I was wondering if Mr. Nicholson would give us a quick update.
I want to take just a second before I get into the report and give you just a little update on Bill. As you're all aware, he passed away last Thursday. Fine guy. He was in the insurance business for over 60 years. He was probably one of the preeminent insurance guys in this area. He was part owner and vice president of Walter Roads, Palin and Corkin. I knew the man 52 years. He served as a mentor to me for many years in my youth. I was actually an independent contractor for Walter Roads for about 12 years, doing updates and appraisals for him. He's just a fine guy. You know, I can't say enough good about the guy. He's going to be really missed. He was a very active and studious director for Lee County Tourism for, I don't know, how long has he been there, Bill? Or Bob? Probably 10 years. You know, and just, he attended every meeting and always had good input, and a lot of things that we did on Bill's recommendation. He had a knack for it. So getting into our presentation, the top is just the fact that we would like to thank the Tourism Council, would like to thank the board for the ARPA money that helped us get into more digital planning, more digital marketing. We are not going to have a print copy of the guide this year just because people are moving away from print literature. We are going to have an online guide, which will be very comparable to the print guide. You just got to get in on our website. All of you have the update from our executive director on your desk. And as it states in the middle, it's been a very tumultuous last month. We lost our executive assistant. We lost 2 board members in addition to Mr. Palin. So we're down to 3 members now. We do have a new one, Benita Willis, who joined our group last Wednesday at our regular meeting. Down below are some Palinisms on Bill, things he likes about the Tourism Council. And on the back is what's coming up or what is just immediately passed. So I hope you share that, and we're proceeding on. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, John. As you alluded to, last week was a tough week for all of us here, you know, and, you know, we lost 2 good men. Mr. Forster called me probably 10 days ago, and he was getting to the end, and he was worried about his seat and what we were going to do with it. And I asked him what he wanted, and he said, "You guys will see fit." So very hard conversation to have with a gentleman at the end of the day. So anyhow, just a tough day. So we'll keep moving on. UCCI, we have no report. We'll go to unfinished business. Petition 22-PC-67. This petition was held over in the August board meeting, but was not added to the September County Board agenda. Is there a motion to approve petition 22-PC-67, text amendment ordinance regulating the development of the private pipelines? Mr. Norberg? Ms. Naylor seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go to B, 12B. This item was not passed by Oakland County at their meeting Tuesday night. Is there objection to leaving the resolution authorizing the creation of the Reagan Mass Transit District on the table? If none, we'll move on. We'll leave it on the table. We'll go to C. Same, deals with the Reagan Mass Transit. We tabled it in September. If there's no objections, we'll leave this item stay on the table. Any objections? If none, we'll move on to D. As the previous 2, it's appointment of the Mass Transit people appointing members. We'll leave that on the table as well unless there's objection. Is that an objection or no? Okay. We'll leave them on the table. We'll move on down to new business, ARPA Capital Fund allocation recommendation from the September meeting. The motion coming out of the October Finance Committee meeting was to accept ARPA recommendations to transfer the remaining money, approximately $3.2 million of unallocated ARPA funds to the county capital fund. Is there a motion to support this recommendation moved forward by the Finance Committee? Mr. Sheeline and Ms. Shippert seconds it. Any discussion? What this does is just move all the remaining ARPA funds to finance and to the capital, and they can do as fit. If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go to number B, letter B, State's Attorney Public Defender Software Purchase Approval. The motion coming out of the October Finance Committee was to pay $15,000 out of the FY '22 capital fund to purchase the carpal software for the State's Attorney's Office and the Public Defender's Office, and allocate the full $138,000 out of the FY 2023 budget. Is there a motion to support this recommendation? Mr. Nicholson moves, Mr. Kitson seconds it. Mr. Sheeline, it was unclear, but I'm sure that's what you meant out of the 138 out of the 2023 budget. That's what come out of finance, correct?
Correct.
All right. Any discussion on this? There were some questions on what that was, that motion, so I wanted to make sure.
Okay.
That's what it was. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Just for transparency, what this is the software that the state's attorney and the public defender's office has presently is going to be unsupported for next year. So this was kind of a surprise to Charlie. He was notified of this after his budget hearing, so it wasn't not at that time, wasn't incorporated in his budget. So he brought this to me and wanted to know what to do. He needed to have the software. And so we've incorporated it partially out of this fiscal year, but the bulk of it will be in next year's budget. So.
Thank you. Any more comments? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we'll go to C, letter C, Old Courthouse Elevator Repair Approval. The motion coming out of October Finance Committee meeting was to fund the Old Courthouse Elevator Repair Project in the amount of $132,000 from the FY 2023 ARPA Capital Fund. Is there a motion to support this recommendation? Mr. Valley, do I have a second? Mr. Williams seconds it. Is there any discussion? Comments? Tom, you want to share anything with us on this?
No.
You looked
Yeah.
awful comfortable there. I just thought.
Basically, we're replacing everything but the cab itself, but it's something that's needed and we're
And
looking
this-
forward to getting started. So.
All right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're going to stop here for a minute. I need a quick 4 or 5 minute recess if we can. Okay? Let's call the meeting back to order. We'll go to D. The revised safety and security plan, lots. Lots revised the safety and security plan. During the Properties Committee meeting, Greg Gates explained the following consultation with Homeland Security, law enforcement, EMA, and fire. An extensive review of the current safety and security plan for lots was developed. It is included in your packet. Is there a motion to approve the revised safety and security plan? Mr. Hudson, Mr. Copine seconds it. Any discussion on this? Comments, discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ooh, we got someone like, let's go through and do a.
Second down, Eagle.
Attendance again?
Yeah, I think we need to go back through and see who's all here. Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay, Allen,
Here.
Bailey,
Present.
Bivens,
Here.
Book. Book.
Brooke.
Considine,
Present.
Hudson,
Present.
Humphrey. Humphrey, Kitson,
Present.
Copine,
Present.
McLean, Larum,
Present.
Naylor,
Present.
Nicholson,
Here.
Norberg,
Here.
Sheline, Shippert,
Present.
Scrogstad,
Here.
White,
Here.
Williams,
Present.
Wilson,
Present.
Seaman,
Here.
Olson.
Here. Thank you, Nancy. All right, we'll go to letter E, reconsider Joseph Meyer Resolution Parcel 11-16-06-329-007, the Lee Center School. Mr. Norberg.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to vacate resolutions 09-22-001, 002, 003, 005, 006, 007, 008, 009, 010, 011, 012, and 013.
Do I have a second to that motion? Mr. Wilson seconds it. Mr. Norberg, do you want to explain to me what you're doing?
Yes, there was a parcel that was indicated in this to have some health and safety issues. And it's been recommended to us to vacate it and move forward to approve the other ones. So.
Any more discussion? So we're doing all them parcels together.
We're going to vacate all of them correctly, which was everything from last month.
Okay.
And the Joseph Meyer tax auction.
Any more comment, questions? All those, let's do this by roll call vote.
Copine,
Yes.
Larum,
Yes.
Naylor,
Yes.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Norberg,
Yes.
Sheline,
Yes.
Shippert,
Yes.
Scrogstad,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Zeman,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Yes.
Valley, Bivens,
No.
Considine,
No.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kitson,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Motion carried. All right, Mr. Norberg.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolutions 09-22-001, 002, 003, 005, 007, 008, 009, 010, 011, 012, and 013.
Do I have a second to that? Mr. Nicholson seconds it. Any discussion? No discussion? Yes, Ms. Allen.
So we vacated all of them and now we're going to revote on all of them but one?
That's the way it looks, yes. Any more questions? We need to do this by roll call as well.
Larum,
Yes.
Naylor,
Yes.
Nicholson.
Yes.
Norberg.
Yes.
Sheline.
Yes.
Shippert.
Yes.
Scrogstad.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Zeman.
Yes.
Allen.
No.
Valley.
Yes.
Bivens.
No.
Considine.
No.
Hudson.
Yes.
Kitson.
Yes.
Copine.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. What do you get?
$16 yes, 3 no.
Motion carried. Thank you. We'll move on to F, ordinance fiscal year 2023 budget. Is there a motion to hold over the fiscal year 2023 budget until November county board meeting? Mr. Sheline, Mr. Kitson seconds it. Mr. Sheline, would you like to give us an overview of the budget?
So the budget, I hope everybody had a chance to look. Sorry. It's nice that, I'll make a comment here, it's nice to have microphones that you can actually turn on and off. This is a wonderful thing. First of all, I want to thank the committee. The committee was very due diligent in going through the budget this year. I want to thank Wendy and Paul and Paula going through the budget and basically putting the nuts and bolts together and have everything in very good order for us to consider. I'd also like to thank the department heads. Department heads did a really good job this year as far as being reasonable in their requests. And I thought it was a team effort bringing a good balanced budget to what you have in your resource for what we're considering today. So as far as the highlights go, it's a balanced budget. I think from $172. And this also, includes the things that there's been little tweaks here and there that we've had to deal with. But it's a solid budget. So if there's any specific questions, I will be glad to entertain them and then defer them to the experts in the back of the room. So
any questions or comments on the budget? All those in favor to hold over the budget till November signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Sheline. We'll go to G, the ordinance, the fiscal year 2023 levy. We have two different recommendations coming out of finance and executive committees. So finance come out of one and then in executive, we come out with a different recommendation. I think I'm going to turn this over to Wendy to give us an overview of both recommendations and we'll go from there. Wendy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So for those of you in attendance at the Finance Committee meeting last week, you know that there were a lot of questions regarding the levy request that I presented. And a lot of questions got answered. We were trying to do math on the fly, and there were a lot of wrong answers being given out. So I put together this overview just to make sure that the accurate information got presented, not just to finance, but to all of you about where we're at. Quick reminder that we are a PTEL, Property Tax Extension Limitation Law jurisdiction. And what that means is we have the ability to raise tax revenue is limited to the consumer price index each year. Plus, whatever new property gets brought onto the tax rolls, new property being literally new construction. So the chart that I've got that's labeled as an overview identifies the CPI for this year is 5%, which is unheard of in the last 25 or 30 years of consumer price index under PTEL. We've not seen anything quite like that. The new construction or new property, which is the only other real factor in this equation, was about a little over about 8 million. So based on that information, I did what I've done for a number of years, which is to calculate and estimate and recommend based on what we think we can get through the PTEL limitation formula. And then I add a little bit because at this point in time in the year, the assessment project process is not quite over. So there's still assessments that are being put on the tax rolls. So I want to be a little bit more specific and take you into the numbers just a little bit. So in the chart, the overview chart, you have the prior year column, which just simply lays out the prior year, what the rate and levy was for each of the various funds. Then you have the estimated actual PTEL limitation. This is the math I did behind the scenes prior to Finance Committee, and I estimated that approximately 6.22% of an increase in our levy. Our levy, again, is our funding request. That does not translate to an increase in tax rate, and it does not translate to an increase in the overall tax bill, but rather that 6.22% is just simply the amount that I'm estimating we can get over and above what we got last year, 5% being the CPI, and the remainder, 1.22%, being attributed to the new construction or new property. I came forward to the Finance Committee with a recommendation of actually 8.17% of a levy, knowing full well that that would probably not happen, but because my numbers in the assessment office were still preliminary, I want to make sure and capture any additional new property that gets added on between now and the end of the year. So I presented that to the Finance Committee. The difference in numbers that we're talking about, the estimated PTEL limitation is estimated to give us an additional approximately $484,000 over and above what we got last year to operate. The recommendation that I made of 8.17%, again, remember that I was shooting high here, I was estimating high, that would get us potentially $636,000 over and above what we got last year. The estimated actual PTEL limitation, if that were to go into effect, that would increase a tax bill of a home that's worth about $135,000, about $12.21. My recommendation of 8.17, if that were to come to fruition, and again, I want to point out, I think that's unlikely, but if it were, that would increase a $135,000 median home about $19 per year. Through the conversation with Finance Committee, they made a recommendation that was to go essentially at 5%, which we rolled back to about 4.99% to avoid needing to have a truth in taxation hearing. If that recommendation moves forward, we would receive about $388,000 over and above what we got in the prior year. So the key here, and what staff adamantly talked the Finance Committee through, is that when it's new construction, if the board chooses not to take advantage of that new construction dollars, then that's an opportunity that you lose, not just for 1 year, but forever going forward into the future. So the difference in my chart here between what I actually think we can get, the 6.22%, and the Finance recommendation is estimated to be about 90, whoop, I don't have my other page here, about $96,375,000. If you go to the second page of my report, I actually then, one of the questions that came out at Finance is, well, how will that impact us over the years? That cumulative effect of not taking advantage of new construction in this particular given year. Because again, remember, if we don't do it now, we don't get to do it in the future. So obviously in year one, we'd lose out on $96,000. In year two, it starts going up by the estimated CPI growth, which we estimated over the last 5 years. Paula estimated that was about 1.8% average over the last 5 years. So we took all of these numbers and bumped them up each year to show you the annual loss. And then obviously the last column is the cumulative loss that you would have. And over a 25-year period, what this county would give up by saying no to that new construction in this year would be approximately $3 million. So again, my point in presenting this to you is to make sure you had accurate information to base your decision on. You do have a couple different recommendations to consider. Other than that, I will take any questions that anyone has, and I'll throw it back to Bob.
Marilyn,
I'd like to make a motion, and then we can discuss, but my motion would be that we support the estimated actual that Wendy has put together of 6.22%. I've served on this board for almost 18 years. I'm going to be gone soon. But we have struggled for finances the whole time I have been here. Right now, we're in a good position. Who knows what's in the future? But I sure hate to cut our nose off to save us right now. So that 3 million is astounding that we're leaving that on the table. My decisions have always been based on what I have felt was best in the long term for the county. And right now, my motion is that I believe the 6.22 estimated actual would be best for the county. Thank
do I
you.
have a second? Mr. Nicholson? Any comments? Mr. Norberg?
So as I sit here and look at it, your chart, Wendy, was based on the 8.17, correct? Compared to the 4.99? Am I correct in?
No, it should have been the difference between the estimated actual and the finance recommendation of the 4.99. Is my math not right?
I'm asking the
Yeah, it was a comparison of between the estimated actual and the finance recommendation. That's how I got the difference of the 96,375.
Okay, so we're leaving, over a 25-year period, we're leaving $3 million on the table with the.
You would leave it on the table if you went with the finance recommendation, not with Maryland's recommendation.
Maryland's recommendation, we'll call it split the difference probably.
And it's actually what I'm estimating you'll get. Again, not knowing what other new construction might be added till the end of the year. It's where we're at right now and what I think you'll get with the PTEL limitation.
Mr. Considine?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's kind of offensive to use leaving it on the table. This isn't our money. This is the taxpayers' money. We're asking to go above and beyond what the Finance Committee recommended. And we always follow what the Finance Committee recommends. It was outvoted. It was brought up in the executive board against Finance Committee's recommendation. And now we're saying we want to take more money from the taxpayers. I can't support taxing people higher. It's not right in my opinion.
I was at finance and I was on finance and as finance chair for years. With PTEL, if we don't capture this new construction, I understand what you're saying. I hate to go against a committee recommendation, but if we can't capture this $24 million of new construction, it's gone forever. And with PTEL, the parameters will never recoup it, and them are big dollars. If you want to save the taxpayers money, then next year when we don't have the new construction like that, if you look the year before, we only had, I think, $3 million in new construction? I don't remember what it is.
Yep, $3,466,000.
So since I've been on finance, the sheriff even said, you need to get out there. We need companies to come here. We need to build. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need people to come here and build in our county. Now we have 24 million of new construction and we're going to leave it on the table. That's why we talked about executive and I wanted to come back. I understand the taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer too. So I get that. But any more discussion from the floor? Yes.
Wendy, the Shady Oaks 2 wind farms, how are they? Are they considered new construction 2022 or because they're not online?
It'll be both. There's a little bit this year and some next year.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, Marilyn.
This year is the perfect storm that we never thought would happen with PTEL. we've been rolling along at less than 2%, and now inflation allows us to go up to 5. That's still the maximum in P-TEL that we can get. I doubt that we'll see that again, but who knows? We've got the construction this year, which, with the economy, who knows what's going to happen there next year? We got to take advantage of what we've got available for us right now. Like you said, we all hate to pay taxes, but it's a necessary thing to have a functioning government.
Mr. Norbert.
I would like to say I love paying taxes, and that's part of why I'm on the board. No, because I want to see my tax dollars go to better roads, better schools, and better police departments. And that's why I'm here. And by capturing this money, I can offer the citizens of Lee County better roads, better schools, and better police departments. And that's the only reason why I'm on this board.
Mr. Constan, you had something you want to say?
I just want to be clear that it's not just this year, it's for going forward. So we're saying capture it this year and capture it now. We're going to have this tax because it keeps going every year. It's every year. We're raising the taxes on the citizens every year, not just this year. And we're not capturing it. We're taking it out of their pocket.
The point I made earlier is next year when you don't have CPI at 105, that's the time you could cut it back. But you need to capture, in my opinion, my opinion is the new construction dollars. Once you lose them forever. So you can always adjust it down the line. We have CPI of 106 or whatever. We can capture 1.5. There's a reason that's there. That's a cost consumer price index. So costs are up. Yes, Mr. Kitson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the Finance Committee, we had a lot of conversation about this. And we talked about not raising taxes on taxpayers. We talked about what it was going to do. We went back and forth. And as Wendy alluded to or maybe said, the numbers, I don't think we were prepared for all the number information. So there was some quick figuring and Paul was involved, Paula was, and we did have a split vote on it, 2-3. So it was a close vote. Just for the transparency part, I think we struggled to see what we were doing with numbers. Is that a fair statement, I guess?
Yes.
So just so everybody knows how we came out of finance.
I think the vote was 3-2.
Yes.
And in executive, we found some errors in the numbers, so we revisited, and that's why we're here today. So, any more questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Kitson.
Somebody mumbled a recommendation. I would recommend that we vote to pass this. However, being a member of the committee, I will vote no because I'll support my committee vote. However, I did vote yes in the split decision, but I think we need to have this. Looking back over the years, I've sat on the finance committee with you, before you, since you, and as Marilyn said, one of you, it's a perfect storm, and it's the opportunity for us to capture the taxes on new construction, which we desperately need to do the things we need for future improvements for the county.
I can think of only a handful of times we've had that much new construction come on with the wind turbines and stuff like that. So this is the time. But any more comments? Yes, Mr. Sheeline.
So I appreciate Mr. Kitson's comments, and I'll be joining him because my committee voted one way, and as chairman of that committee, I'll continue to support the committee. However, I'll take a little bit of disagreement with Ms. Shippert. I remember when we passed P-TEL, and I was supervisor of South Dixon Township at the time, and I remember having an argument in this room with John Fritz, and it was entirely on this topic. And it was that I don't think people appreciated the constraints that P-TEL put on taxing districts like us that are within a jurisdiction. It did not stop the school districts from, and let's face it, the school districts will be 2/3 to 70% of your tax bill. And like Dixon Public Schools, they aren't P-TEL district. Amboy is not Amboy is a P-TEL district. Nelson is a P-TEL district, but all the other school districts are not because their jurisdictions go outside the county. So it was a very blunt tool in my view, and I haven't changed that in 30 years. And what we're faced with here is, once again, and I appreciate Mr. Considine's comments, and I think we do, all of us sitting here want to do what's right for the taxpayer. But the plain fact of the matter is that if you want to have an expanding tax base, if you want to continue to be able to actually over time spread the cost of government over more taxpayers, you have to capture the new property that comes on the rolls. You have to do it. And so, you know, again, I will support my committee. I disagreed with them. I actually was in favor of the original recommendation. I will support, I will tacitly behind the scenes support the resolution that's on the table. But I just wanted to make those points.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any more comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Liram here. I have a rather not a good question for sake of other vocabulary. Does this mean that the executive committee can override the finance committee?
No, I don't think we're trying to do that, Larry. I think there were some numbers that,
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think any committee makes a recommendation. If we go back to the way you're thinking, then anything comes out of committee, we don't need to be here and vote as a full board to approve of anything. So, I mean, if you want
to vote to disapprove us, I agree with that, but we didn't vote for this to move on. The finance committee.
Yes.
And I agree with Casey that we should not raise the taxes on the taxpayers.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. You want to do a roll call vote?
Is this on the amendment or on the? I thought
On Maryland's vote, I'm sorry, on Maryland's
So it's a 6.22.
6.22, the middle of the road of the two.
Naylor,
Yes.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Norberg,
Yes.
Sheline,
No.
Shippert,
Yes.
Scrogstad,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Zeman,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Valley,
Yes.
Bivens,
No.
Considine,
No.
Hudson,
No.
Kitson,
No.
Copine,
Yes.
Liram,
No.
Olson.
Yes.
I won't waste my breath, but you know where I'm at.
13 yes, 3 no. Sorry, I'm sorry.
More no.
I'm corrected. 13 yes, 6 no.
Motion carried. Now we go down to appointments. We got a resolution appointing Joe Mortimer as Franklin Grove Fire Protection District trustee. Is there a motion to approve the resolution appointing Joe as a trustee of the Franklin Grove Fire Protection District? Ms. White, do I have a second? Mr. Copine? All those in favor of appointing Mr. Mortimer, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Appointment of Thomas Draper to Maple Grove Drainage District. Is there a motion to approve the appointment of Tom to the Maple Grove Drainage District? Mr. Hudson, Mr. Considine seconds it. Any discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I don't know. Did you vote no?
I did, yes.
All right,
He didn't like the narrative.
motion carried. I have no executive session. There's no quarterly treasurer's report. Is there a motion to approve the county officer's report? Mr. Wilson, Mr. Kitson seconds that. Any discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of monthly revenue report, claims paid and vacation and payroll. Is there a motion to approve the monthly revenue report, the claims paid and vacation, and the employee compensation report? Mr. Kitson, Mr. Copine seconds it. Any discussion? If none, this must be done by roll call vote.
Nicholson,
Yes.
I'm sorry, was that yes?
Yes, yes.
You had to think about it, man.
No, I didn't.
Norberg,
Yes.
Sheline,
Yes.
Shippert,
Yes.
Schragstad,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Yes.
Valley, Bivens,
Yes.
Considine.
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kitson,
Yes.
Copine,
Yes.
Lyrum,
Yes.
Naylor,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the board mileage and per diem? Mr. Sheeline, Mr. Williams seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Wilson moves and Mr. Kitson seconds it. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.